Hey guys, sorry for the delay on the stream. Just had to get some things taken care of. This is just a quick rundown of what I'm looking at and what I've placed for tomorrow. Tomorrow's NFL slate, Week 9. I know do usually release these bets on Twitter somewhere in the AM tomorrow, but I feel like something like this would help a lot of people out. Just doing something ahead of time. And just to revise on what me, Lou, and Gordo already went over on the last show. So, um, kicking it off for my first bet. This is, by the way, guys, this is going to be a quick show. It's nothing crazy. It's just recapping what I've already placed for tomorrow. But starting off, I'm going to bring in the two high priority teaser spots, which are going to be the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. So one of them is an AM game, one is a game at night, and so we have a little bit of time in between in case you guys do want to hedge or middle. I probably won't be doing a middle bet, and if the Bills win in the morning, but I'm doing a 7 point teaser, getting the Bills at -4 and the Chiefs at -5.5. And that's probably going to be my largest bet for the day tomorrow. I'm fairly confident in that teaser. I do not think the Jets have any offense to even compete with the Bills. And then for the Chiefs, that one is a little bit of a tighter matchup just because the Titans tend to play the Chiefs a little bit better, just looking at recent history and looking at the past couple of matchups. But ultimately, I do think the Chiefs are able to stop the run with Derrick Henry, and I'm pretty sure they'll be able to cover that 5.5 teaser spread. So give me those two locked in a 7 point teaser. Next up, I know on stream I did mention that I am leaning towards the Seahawks side against the Cardinals, but just doing more research and lineup capabilities, I do like the Cardinals. I'm switching on here on that game. I do think the Cardinals are a little bit of a better team now that Hopkins is available for them. I don't think anyone on the Seahawks secondary, their broken secondary, is able to cover Hopkins. So I think Hopkins goes off for 100 and a TD. So if you guys want to ladder his yardage or if you want to parlay those two props together, I wouldn't shy you off of them. So yeah, Cardinals -2, or if you want to be safe, just take the money line at -130. It's not that much of a difference. It's only a 20-cent difference. So I probably won't get too greedy with it and take the -130 when outright. I don't care about the 20 cents, quite frankly. I think that's a good enough line for me to take against the Seahawks. I know Geno Smith has been balling. I know the Seahawks offense has been looking good. It's not to say that their defense is any good whatsoever. Um, it's going to be a competitive game. It's not something that I'm going to put too much into. I'm going to take the money line, so -130, and I'm probably going to have it to win 1.5 units. So I believe that's around 1.8 to win 1.5, if I'm doing my math correctly. So that's the second bet that I've locked in. Third bet, we're going to be going to, where is it? Here. The Chargers at the Falcons. Now, this isn't a bet on a side, but it's a player prop. We know the Chargers offense is completely washed away. No Keenan Allen, no Mike Davis. Two of their bigger names, their two best receivers, in fact, out for the game. I know Joshua Palmer is going to be in there. He's going to get most of the looks when it comes to the receiving yards, but this is a little bit of a different angle. If you look at Austin Eckler over the past couple of weeks, Austin Eckler has been able to rack up yardage in the receiving end. Let me go ahead and pull up his, just so I don't butcher this. I'm going to pull up his exact stats and the receiving end so you guys can see or you can hear what I'm talking about here. So, Austin Eckler in the last game, which he did have Mike Williams, 12 receptions on 12 targets. So he caught every single look that was given to him, and he received for 96 yards. Now his prop right now is, let's go ahead and double check. I'm only on DraftKings because I can't really view my props here. So if we go to Russian receiver props. All right, so receiving yards, Austin Eckler is at over 51 and a half. So in the last game, like I said, he had 12 targets, 12 receptions for 96 yards, averaging pretty much 8 yards per reception. The game before it, he had 16 targets, 10 receptions, and this isn't as impressive, but 47 receiving yards. Now, that was against a good Denver secondary and a good Denver defense. So I don't really blame him for only getting that many yards on that many targets and receptions because Denver's defense has proven to be solid time and time again this season. So don't let that get away here. And then in previous games, the game before it, it was only 4 targets, 4 receptions for 26. And before that, he had 7 and 6 receptions for 49 yards, 8 and 8, 10 and 9. Like when Herbert's throwing the ball to this guy, he's catching it. It's usually on those flat routes, and he's able to get chunk yardage for anywhere from 5 to 9 yards. And we all know Eckler and his capabilities. He's very elusive. He's able to break out for these longer runs. And I do think against the Falcons tomorrow, whose their defense is not all that great either, glaring weaknesses in the secondary and the linebacker position. I think Eckler is going to have a good game in the receiving specifically. So that is the third bet that I have locked in. Eckler receiving yards over 51 and a half. Next up, this is one that I talked about on the show, and I'm just going to emphasize it even more here. We're going to a player prop, specifically a anytime touchdown score in the Bills and Jets game. So if we're going to this game, click on touchdown scores. I'm looking for Gabe Davis, and I'm blind. Oh, here it is. Gabe Davis, anytime touchdown score at plus 135. My usual play with the Bills is always Stephon Diggs. I don't even need to explain why. He just has that connection with Josh Allen. Now, tomorrow is going to be a little bit more difficult with him. He's going against Sauce Gardner, who's one of the better corners in the league. I would say one of the best in the league right now, who's barely allowed any receptions. And I'm not saying Diggs can't get it over him or not, but why don't I take the path of least resistance here? It's something that I mentioned in UFC breakdowns, path of least resistance. And Gabe Davis should have wide open lanes left and right since the Jets really only have Sauce Gardner as a good corner. Their other corners aren't that good at all. And at plus 135, I think that's pretty good value for what Gabe Davis does. Uh, our best bet would be just similar to that one game where he had those 2 touchdowns, 40, 50 yarders. I don't think that's a foreseen circumstance here. So Gabe Davis touchdown. I would even look to see what his 2 touchdown line is, but I'm still getting used to this DraftKings thing, man. But last but not least, the last bet that I have locked in for now is Devonte Adams touchdown, and that's Raiders against Jaguars. And let me just get you guys the accurate price on this. So the accurate price minus 120 for Devonte Adams. I think it's a steal against the Jaguars, uh, who also have weak secondaries. If you guys can tell, there's a theme when it comes to my touchdown scorer props when it comes to receivers, and it's always looking at the corners and the safeties. And if I'm looking at Devonte Adams going against the weak secondary in the Jaguars, I'm obviously going to take it. I know Derek Carr hasn't been all that impressive this year, and the Raiders have had their offensive struggles and their offensive woes. Last week they got shut out, which is never good to see. But one thing that is important to remember is not to let things like that play into your gambling, into your betting style, because the last thing you want to do is overreact on something that happened last week, and then the following week you see that they score 4 times and they just thrash their opponent. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with the Raiders tomorrow, but I just want to completely take out the bias from last week's game. They played the Saints, who their defense is starting to form itself together, and they're starting to play a little bit more cohesively. So I don't blame them, but it's also a bad look being shut out by anyone, regardless of the defense. So I'm taking Devontae Adams at -120. Those are the bets that I have locked in for now. A couple of the other ones that I was looking at, if I'm going to, it was the same game. I'm going to be going to the receiving yards, and this is actually going to be a player on the Jaguars. I was looking at Christian Kirk over 56.5 receiving yards at -115. Uh, the Raiders just tend to give up yards left and right to these receivers. Their secondaries, they allow the sixth most receiving yards in the NFL. So they're not ranked well. They don't perform all that well. And I mean, if we saw that game against Houston where Davis Mills was throwing left and right against them and they were getting chunk yardage. Like I'm talking 20, 30-yard passes left and right without any hard coverage at all. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to do that same performance against the Raiders in the passing game. And I think Christian Kirk is his favorite target. So give me Christian Kirk over 56.5. I haven't locked it in yet. I'm looking to. I'm just waiting on the market here just to see if I can get a couple more yards less, depending on the line movement. But more than likely, I will be locking that in. I already have it in a Prize Picks parlay tomorrow. So that's with I have the Christian Kirk over 56.5 with the Austin Eckler and the receiving yards locked in on Prize Picks too. So that's one of the main ones that I haven't locked in yet, but I'm still thinking about per se. Let me see if I could throw in one more for you guys. Let's go to the Cardinals again here. I remember mentioning that Hopkins is going to probably have a field day tomorrow, so I haven't checked his receiving yards. Over 82.5. Um, doesn't, I mean, I think he can hit it. Not my favorite prop on the board, though. Um, what is his touchdown at? That's what I'm interested to see. Hopkins touchdown at -125. I think it's a steal. Let's check and see Austin Eckler touchdown. We were talking about this on the stream with Lou and Gordo. Austin Eckler at -165. Yeah, that's too steep. 165. You don't want to be caught playing 165 for anytime touchdown scores. Even though like Eckler can get multiple in this game, he's the only option besides Palmer. It's just -165 is just too expensive for my liking. Yeah, that's what I have for now. I'll be posting the full slate in the morning on the Twitters. So hopefully this live stream helped you guys out. Gave you a little bit more clarity on what to expect from me, at least for the NFL slate tomorrow. I'm probably going to be doing these every week, like Saturday late night streams, unless I'm out and about or doing something else. But just to recap, what I have locked in so far is Bills -4, Chiefs -5.5 in a teaser, a 7-point teaser. That's my biggest bet of the day. I have the Cardinals money line. I have the Eckler receiving yards over 53.5, Gabe Davis touchdown, and Devontae Adams touchdown. And the leans that I gave out were uh, brain fart. Hopkins touchdown, and gosh, yeah, it's sorry guys, 11-14, kind of tired, but I'm trying to remember what was that? What was that other lean? Oh, the Christian Kirk over receiving yards. Those are the two leans I gave out. I know on the show I did say that I was gonna take the Vikings -3, but I'm still waiting to see how this moves. I do want it at 2.5, -2.5. So hopefully, if I wake up and it's at 2.5, I'll just insta bet it. Worst case scenario, I'll I'll just buy the half point. I mean, what's the worst I could do? Uh, if I were to buy half a point, let me see. It should be around minus 125 if I buy the half. So I'll make that decision in the morning. I'll sleep on it. Hopefully, I wake up and we have some love towards Washington. That way, I don't have to pay for the the half a point because I don't like being hooked on a bet. Like if the Vikings do win by 3 and it pushes, it's just yeah, sure. I'm not upset at pushing, but I also want to win. So I'd rather buy the hook. It's only 10 cents. But yeah, guys, thank you all for joining in. I really appreciate it, and you can expect a lot more of this kind of content from me on Saturday nights. Thanks again.